Hey, my friends, it's Sabrina, and this is the Hero's Joy podcast. Thank you for joining me. It is 444 as I light this candle and I start this episode, and it's gonna be a big one. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I just trust my heart and I trust the moment, and I feel like everything is gonna be okay. And so this is gonna be a very intimate episode. You're gonna get to know me on a deeper level, and I am about to bare my soul for you. I don't know how deep I'm gonna get, but I really just feel like opening up about my story on another level. I honestly don't know how much I've shared, and I don't know how much you know about me and my my experience. And I'm not going to edit anything out of this. It's going to be one take. It's going to be just there. Just there for what it needs to express, or what I need to express. See, like all of these things that I would normally edit out, I'm just going to put it out. So if you don't have the patience for me sometimes spacing out or finding my words, then that's totally fine. But if you end up staying and you end up really receiving and tuning in fully to this, thank you. And I hope you receive exactly whatever it is that you need from hearing my story, and hopefully it can serve as a mirror, as a guiding light, as a pathway of possibility, as just who knows who knows where this is gonna go, what you're gonna get, because I don't know. Whatever you need. What's that saying? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But I honestly don't like that saying, and I don't even know if that applies to what this episode is going to be about, because it's not really advice or anything. It's just me sharing my story about how I found my purpose and how I arrived to this point in time where it is a full circle moment, and I'm like, holy shit, a lot is just coming together, and it feels like a huge milestone internally to feel all the disjointed pieces coming together and reaching this point of deep inner peace with aspects of me that I thought I would never come to terms with and never fully resolve or understand or be at peace with. And now I'm like, I love you. More, please. So, this is all about how I found my purpose. And as you know, or maybe you don't, I don't really see it as finding your purpose, but more of an unearthing, more of a stripping away of the layers and the distortions and cloudiness, and coming into contact with your core essence, your soul's frequency, and just letting that fucking shine and radiate. And yes, I curse sometimes, but it's just how I like to express myself. So So let's start off in childhood. This is going to be like a therapy session, but it's not really. It's my story. And the point of this is to reflect back that within your core wounds, universally, because, this is the podcast of timeless wisdom from personal transformation, blah, blah, blah. And within your core wounds is deep wisdom. Within your pain is the expression of your purpose. And as you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the layers and really let yourself process all the sensations and emotions associated with this facet of your being, your purpose, your mission, the gifts that you're here to share with the world become clear and just shine through you. And I also wanted to weave in something I'm very excited and grateful to finally be able to share from a place of like, full fuck, yes. And I feel like this is why a big part of my soul's evolution personally is the lesson of patience. And I've always been like, I struggled with feeling like I was a late bloomer. Like as a little kid, I was always super small. In my preteen years and even teen years, like I was like super flat chested, and I was so self-conscious about my body, and I struggled with body dysmorphia and just feeling so behind. And so comparison was really, really sticky for me. And so I struggled a lot with feeling like I needed to be further ahead than I am. And this part of myself that really had to learn to slow down and meet myself where I'm at and honor at every stage of my evolution, to see it every single point in time, wherever I am in my cycle, because life is cyclical and the hero's journey is a spiral, it's a cycle. So wherever you are is freaking beautiful and precious and necessary and important, and no part of the journey is better or worse than the other, whether you're just starting, whether you're in the middle, whether you're like returning back. Wherever you are, it's all equally valuable. And going back to the offering, I struggled a lot with like trying to get something out of me. Oh my god, this is so cool. Okay, this is gonna be very interesting to weave together. But I became a coach in about 2021, and I had my first program in 2021. And between that time and this moment, it's been just cycle of death, rebirth, trying to figure out, trying to let go, trying to understand what I'm here to actually give and like what my purpose is. And I had a podcast before called The Purpose Path, and so like I felt like in between that time I was really just going into my own understanding. And that's what I'm saying with this full circle moment of like, oh my god, I get to share everything that I went through without even really knowing what I was going through and what it was leading to. But in the hero's journey, there is a framework, there is these stages of the hearing the call, refusal of the call, and finally answering the call, initiation, going through challenges and trials and tribulations, meeting the mentor, and like crossing the threshold, and then eventually getting the gold, returning home with the magic elixir in which the hero gets to share everything they've learned, every piece of gold that they've extracted from their journey, and share it with their community. And I feel like I'm at that place where I get to share. And it feels really good because I've been trying to find this point within myself where it felt good to give what I wanted to give without it feeling forced. And that's why it's so beautiful. It's because like I'm at this point where it's just clicking together, and it's not even me trying to figure it out anymore. It's just me listening to what wants to come through and allowing that to come through, kind of like how I experience writing music and how freaking beautiful it is to just be a conduit of creative intelligence, and also how this is like so related to my story and my purpose, which I'll get into. So anyway, the offering is that I am sharing a program of private one-on-one coaching, and it is 4 months of holding space for you to choose your own adventure and go on your own hero's journey and write your own story and discover yourself on a soul level, to explore your spirituality, to connect with what you're here to create and contribute and the impact you're here to make. Because if you're alive at this time, there is no coincidence. Like, the reason why you woke up, you are meant to wake up. You're meant to wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You're meant to be here. And there's a reason why you're here. And there's a reason why it's draining to do work, to spend time doing things that don't matter, and why it's exhausting and why it doesn't feel good. There's a reason why, because your inner guidance system is helping you constantly, moment to moment to moment, to guide you back to what is your most fulfilling life. And that is connected to using your gifts and sharing your voice, sharing your most fully expressed loving energy with the world, coming out of the shadows and into the light. And that is the essence of this program that I'm so excited, oh my God, to give to you and to invite you into. And it is called, drum roll please, I see 222. It's called Emergence. And this has been on my heart for so long, but it never felt ready, and now it's ready. And here it is, Emergence. It is, it is your invitation to merge with the mystery of you in less vague terms, to align with your calling, to align with the inner calling inside of you, to step into your purpose, to do what is most alive and meaningful, to contribute your unique gift and soul's frequency. And as you step into your path, what emerges? What will emerge from that space? What will become clear? What will come into the light? And that's what we get to explore together. And I'm there for you. I'm there to hold your hand. I'm there to be your guide. I'm there to hold space, to witness you discover yourself. And I truly, honestly wish that I had me, or like this program, when I was at the beginning of my purpose path, my inner excavation, my awakening to spirituality. This is like the time in my life when I had just come home from a tower moment. So if you know the tower card in tarot, it's like everything is freaking just crumbling to pieces, to shreds, to shards. Everything is just breaking down, and you have no other option left but to surrender and let go and just, cave into that inner calling that you've been, this is me talking to myself, that you've been armoring up from and resisting so much. And for me, that was going home from college. I wanted to get away from home so bad. And college was my way out, even though I didn't even want to go to college. Like, here we go. We're going into my story. Buckle up. Oh man. Okay, so this was my tower moment when I chose to go home. I chose to say to my parents, I'm not doing school right now. I'm taking a break, at least for this moment. I was really at my wit's end with struggling with the worst anxiety of my life, like just constantly in panic mode, constantly in hypervigilance, watching behind my back. I couldn't even leave my room because I was freaking terrified of life. I was really humiliated from I've always been a very private person up until now. I'm sharing my life story, but like at that point I was a very private person and I didn't really reveal much unless like you were my best friend in the world. But I hit a moment when the relationship I was in, there was betrayal and everyone knew about it except for me. And I felt very, 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 very scared of life. And just so distrusting of everyone, everything, even myself, because deep inside, my intuition was always saying that there was something going on, but I would gaslight myself and pretend that it wasn't there. So I was at the time very disconnected from my body and from my intuition and disconnected from life in general, the experience of that. And it just compounded going down that route of not listening to life's calling, to life's whispers, until it just got so bad that I couldn't keep going anymore. Literally, physically, I would be so freaking exhausted all the time. And I thought that was normal, but it's not normal. It's not normal to be that tired all the time. I was not healthy. I was not healthy. I was not in my body. I would oversleep until about like 2 p.m., miss all my classes, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., oversleep, wake up at 2, get like down like 2 shots of espresso or whatever, and then fall asleep in like 5 hours and just be exhausted and not do anything. And literally failed all my classes. And at also a certain point, I isolated so much that I had no real friends that I felt like I could go to. Even though I did, they were always available, but I was just so in the pattern of withdrawing and isolating and shutting myself out from the world. And so my core wound that was really coming to the surface that I couldn't see at that point, but as I look back at every single 7-year cycle of my life, starting when I was 7 years old, was the core wound of never feeling like I belonged, and how I interpreted that as I need to hide. I'm not supposed to be here. I need to be alone. I'm not supposed to be with people, so I have to hide. It's like that cycle of a story. I remember as a little kid, I had 2 older brothers and I love them. But at the time, I interpreted their gatekeeping of playing games that I wanted to play and I wasn't allowed to play with them. I interpreted that as I'm not allowed to play and I'm not allowed to have fun and I'm not allowed to be with the people I want to be with. So my little girl self would take myself, and I was very small at the time, and I would hide under beds a lot. My parents had this bed that was like, I could fit under the bed. I was so small, but I remember like literally hiding under there and curling up. And to me, it felt like there was so much room underneath that I could just like, I felt held underneath that bed. And it was so dark. I remember at the time, I don't know why I didn't turn the lights on, but I turned all the lights off. No one knew I was in there. And I remember telling myself, like, if no one ever finds me, that's okay. And I'm safe here. This is the only place I belong, away from everyone. So that became my pattern and way of dealing with the world. And it stayed with me for a long time. If you didn't know me as a little kid, most people don't know this, but I actually wasn't very happy. And as I grew up, especially like around like 8 to 12, I was just a very cold person. I wasn't very warm. I didn't smile a lot at all, actually. In pictures, my mom was always like, come on, smile, show your teeth. And I would give her like the blankest smile that was not even a smile. It was just like literally me showing my teeth. I wish I could show you. But this is just audio for today. And yeah, it was cold. I feel like I was just a very cold person. And I always wondered, like, what made me so sad? What made me mad? And it stayed with me, this pattern of hiding, this pattern of shutting down my emotions, feeling like I was disconnected from my emotions, and it just kept suppressing, and that buildup continued on until high school when, maybe you know this story, but I used to spend every school lunch in the bathroom stall alone. And that was just like my place. That was just the only place I felt like I could go to. I didn't really have any friends. I felt like an alien. And the only safe place was to be in the bathroom. So that was where I went, and that was where I would spend anytime there was a break in school or some kind of school event. I would just run and hide. And it was very lonely. And so this pattern was like so ingrained. And the story that was attached to it was that I have nothing important to share or offer. I don't know what to say to people. I don't want to be seen because I don't feel like I'm enough. And the way that I saw myself dictated how I showed up in the world, how I experienced life, and it was just a constant feedback cycle loop that would just continue on and on and on until I had an awakening moment, like years later in my sophomore year of college, that showed me how much I was rejecting myself, how much I was denying myself of love, of acceptance, of presence. And so I ended up going home after my sophomore year of college, and I took a break. I ended up becoming a barista, which I always wanted to do. I always wanted to work in a coffee shop, and it was super fun. And I was still like in and out of this really volatile relationship that was such a reflection of where I was consciously. And this is why relationships are our greatest teachers, one of our greatest teachers, but they really show us ourselves. And without this experience of heartbreak and me realizing that I was breaking my own heart every single time I would choose to stay, I wouldn't have woken up to the self-love that is my life today. The self-love that has connected me to a greater sense of self that I could ever fathom at the time. And actually at the time I was so resentful of spirituality. I thought that spirituality meant religion, which meant dogmatic God and punishment and rules and blind faith, blind following. And it just didn't resonate with me. It didn't feel like something I wanted to opt into. And because I didn't have that agency, I had that agency, but I wasn't aware of it. Because I didn't actively choose it and connect to it from a genuine, authentic place, I didn't experience the connection that was the solution to my problem of depression and suppression and anxiety, and feeling like all I could do was hide from everything, not feeling safe to experience life because I didn't know. I didn't have the access internally or awareness of spiritual connection. And so my awakening moment of when I had actually just picked up a guitar, or my brother gave me a guitar for my birthday, and I had started learning the song Beach Baby by Bon Iver. And it was such a beautiful moment because I'm like, oh my God, this is my favorite song. I'm learning how to play it for the first time ever. And it was the first time I was learning how to sing while playing a guitar. And it was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life because I felt like I had no connection to my voice and to my creative expression. So it was like a little seed starting to be planted. And then I received a message on my phone, and I knew something was up because I had been feeling it. I had been feeling something was off in this relationship for a really long time. And the guy I was with had just moved to the apartments from so he lived in a city that was a couple hours away back in my school, my old college's city, if I'm explaining this correctly. And so he moved closer to me, actually, like so close. And I thought that everything was going to be dandy. I thought it was going to work out. I thought we were probably going to be, together forever. I thought that maybe he would change. I thought all these things. And then I hear that he has cheated again with, this story doesn't matter that much, but he has cheated again, and it was probably the third time in our time together. And it was my awakening moment. I literally laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God, how is this still happening? It really showed me like you can't change anyone. And then also like on some level, why am I choosing this? Because I am choosing this, and I am allowing this to be part of my experience. I started to see that it wasn't anything happening to me, that I was actually allowing myself to be in relationship with that kind of energy. And then it just catapulted me. So I laughed, and I decided in that moment, oh my God, I'm changing my entire life now. Like this is fucking it. I can't, what the hell am I doing? And sometimes you have to go through moments of like, it takes some time for the breakthrough to break through to you. It took me a long time for me to see that I was on the wrong path, which on some level is the right experience for me to see it. So not really about right or wrong, blah, blah, blah. But, for clarity, I could see. And I knew that I deserved better. And allowing myself to feel the hurt of realizing, oh my God, I'm doing this to myself. I'm choosing it. And how much that awareness hurt me, and letting myself actually be in it, is the energy that pushed me forward to bettering myself and choosing to actually do the things that I've always wanted to do but never let myself. Because in the identity that I was in while I was in that relationship, I was operating from a set of beliefs that program me to see myself as not worthy of more. This is as good as it gets. That anything else outside of this is unfamiliar and therefore not for me. But it was just a distorted belief that I could choose to opt out of. And so this was the beginning seeds of my awakening, and I started to change my entire life. I finally went into personal training. I got a personal trainer. I ended up going vegan. I'm not vegan anymore, but it was a beautiful experience to be vegan for 4 years, because it just going into everything right now, it taught me how to really make my own food, be conscious of what I was putting into my body, and to be conscious of how my actions influenced the world around me at large, which I was not aware of at all. And I was just in a state of ignorance. And that catapulted me as I started to really detox my body. I ended up going through a period of time also where I experienced the worst acne of my entire life. And I'll share some pictures and some posts eventually, because it was pretty gnarly and very painful. And most people think oh my God, you have such nice skin. I'm like, bitch, I used to really freaking struggle with the worst acne of my life. And it really made me appreciate good skin, and also taking care of myself. And also in the moments when I was really struggling with acne, this is when I started to learn about law of attraction, manifestation, that realm. And I started to use that to manifest clear skin. And I would say thank you every day for this opportunity to learn to love myself deeper. Thank you for this opportunity to love myself deeper. Thank you for this opportunity to face myself. And I would just infuse my experience with love, with self-love, and really deepen into that. And that was the first time that I realized oh my God, I can't not face myself and face all the things that I have been suppressing, and all the toxicity that I had been keeping in my body, all coming to the surface literally for me to see, face off with, and love. And that was one cycle of self-love for me. Coming out of that, I started to feel a calling come through. I started, because I had so much space, I wasn't in a place of external pressure. I really had the space to just listen. And this is when I started to meditate every day. I had an experience with a psychologist, which it's not this, I'm not trying to, rag on mental health professionals. It was just my experience of of getting off of meds, and the psychologist that I had that was trying to keep me on the medication was like, well, you should be back in school and you should be doing this, and that's why you feel like shit. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what? I was livid, and I was like, holy shit, I'm not, what am I doing? It was another wake up call. It was like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I taking these medications? I don't even feel good. I feel like a fucking zombie. What am I doing? And so it was another moment of, hey, wake up, consciously choose what you want to do rather than just going on autopilot. And so I decided to heal my anxiety and depression, residue depression that was never fully dealt with. I decided to heal holistically, and that decision was the moment that really opened me up to deeper listening, to hearing a deeper calling inside me. And so I was starting to really open up to new perspectives of life, and I would listen to Alan Watts all day, every day. I would also, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, and just like hearing him talk about the universe, and I was just like, oh my god, I love this stuff. It was starting to open me up more and more and more and more and more. And I got inspired by this girl, Elena, on YouTube, and she was solo traveling, and I was like, hey, like, why can't I do that? And then I started turning it over and I'd be like, yeah, why can't I do that? And so it was like the most spontaneous decision. Again, this is when I was starting to really tap into that spontaneity of like just being in the moment and like doing it and just moving with what moves me, moving with inspiration. And so within less than a month, I planned my first solo travel trip to Europe, backpacking from Berlin to Italy. I went to Czech Republic. I went to where did I go? What's that? I'll get back to that. But I went to a few different countries. Prague. Italy was my favorite because it's just so freaking beautiful, but actually all of them were my favorite. Anyway, the point of this is that I had done something that I never thought I could do, but has always been on my bucket list, has always been something that I was like, one day I'm going to do that. I just don't know when. And it happened quicker than I thought was possible because I made the decision to be like, I'm going to do it. And the thing is, I almost didn't make it. It's so funny how the universe works to get you to confirm that you're truly opting in to yourself, your higher self, your calling, to just check in with you, to be like, yeah, is this what you want? And so 5 days before my flight was about to leave, my mom was like on Google. She's like, hey, isn't this your flight? And it says that my airline went bankrupt. I was like doing the really cheap like budget airlines because I had like no money at the time, but I still wanted to go. So I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can. And they never sent me a notification, an email. This was like 5 days before I was supposed to leave. And my mom finds out coincidentally, aka not so coincidentally, because there are no coincidences. But it was like perfect timing because I had just enough time to get a refund and find another ticket. And if my mom didn't see that, I would have showed up at a loss of a flight. and no money to get back. So anyway, I get on the flight and I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Oh my gosh. And then I get to my place, or actually, I almost missed the flight. I almost missed the flight. I'm literally rushing as they're closing the gate. I'm like, no. So I run in, get on the flight. I'm like, okay, we're good. Everything is fine. And I get to Germany and they lose my bags. I don't have my stuff for 3 days. I'm like, fuck. What the hell? It's like everything that could go wrong goes wrong. But it was all part of the journey, right? So yeah, all that happens and everything that goes wrong, but also everything that could go right goes right. And I end up experiencing the experience of my dreams in so many ways. And I don't need to go into this whole story because I feel like I've told it in some other outlets, but it gave me the confidence to trust myself again after not trusting myself for years. And especially from that relationship, I had gone down a path of feeling so cut off from myself and my inner compass and hearing what is true for me internally. And going on that hero's journey instilled in me an embodied knowing of yeah, even if I get lost, I'm good. Even if I don't know what's going on, I'm good. It connected me to my intuition, to my destiny timeline, to soul connections. It was just freaking beautiful. And it gave me a story to share. It gave me a message to reveal aspects of myself that I got to know on a deeper level, and to connect with other people through that story. And I didn't have that before. And actually, I didn't mention this, but back when I was in college, so I went to college for world cinema. And what most people don't know is that I actually failed to get into the program that I really wanted to get into, which is VCU Arts Film. And so I felt like I was such an imposter for being in world cinema, which is not the film arts program where you actually make films. It's just studying, it's just actually an elective more so of international studies. And I felt like I was doing in a shadow space of what I actually wanted to be in, because the only class I had ever actually liked in school, in high school specifically, was film. And my teacher, Mr. Marvin, was such an angel. It was the first class that I actually felt like, whoa, my cells, my body, my mind are actually drawn and magnetized to this for the first time. I don't feel like I'm dying. So it was so refreshing to have that. And so I thought that I was meant to do film because it was the only inkling of curiosity I had. And something about the art of looking deeply into what is being shown and seeing deeper meanings, being able to decode and unravel every shot, every inch of the shot, every aspect of the shot, and seeing how everything is purposeful and intentional and giving life to a deeper part of the story, of a theme of the human condition or universal principles. And oh God, I just loved it. And I realized now, looking back, that essence of the curiosity was part of my purpose, but I obviously didn't know that at the time. And so anyway, I tried to apply for the VCU Film Arts program. And the prompt of the application was write us a story, write us a compelling story. And for years, 4 years, for decades, 2 decades of my life, I felt so disconnected again from my creative expression. And I feel like that's why I experienced depression, because of how suppressed my emotions were and how I didn't have an outlet to fully, safely, openly let out and release the tension, the inner workings of my life. And I was so hung up, attached to the identity of like, I don't have anything important to say. So I didn't know how to write a story. I didn't know what to say. I felt so blocked. Like, I would ask everybody around me can I use a story? Can you tell me a story to share for my film program application? And that application was so bland. Obviously, of course it was rejected, because it wasn't even a story. It wasn't even like anything. And I have so much compassion though for that version of myself, because she was really trying. But what I didn't see then was like that failure was part of the story that I was learning, that I am writing now. And even though I didn't get into the film program, I still got to experience the lessons that I needed to learn in college as I was in that time, like during that time. And it's so funny, I worked in a restaurant. It was a Hawaiian fusion restaurant called Coconut Grill. And like my first day, I got to meet one of my coworkers. I think his name was Stefan, and he was a cook. And he's like, Sabrina, what's your story? Everyone's got a story. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a story. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I don't know who I am. Will you tell me my story? I remember saying that. I was like, I don't freaking know. Can you tell me? And I was like, my default is like, can you tell me who I am? Can you tell me what I'm here to do? I don't know. I don't know. Why am I here? I don't belong here. What the fuck am I doing? And so it was like this desperation and frustration for not being able to articulate what was inside, the pain that comes with internally, of feeling constipated, feeling like what is inside you can't even be reached, let alone released. So I was in that space for a very long time until that energy had to move somewhere. So it kind of inverted and distorted and led me down a really dark path on the opposite side of the spectrum. Oh my god, this is so long. If you're here, I love you. If you're still listening in. Anyway. So going back to my hero's journey. This is why this framework is so meaningful to me, because it gives me the frame. It gives me the container, the understanding of myself and where I'm at in my own evolution, and knowing that it's not an end all be all. It's constantly moving, and it gives me a map of where I'm at, to know that, okay, I'm here. There's something here for me. There's a lesson. There's something to be extracted. There's something to be with, that I'm never really lost, even when it feels like I am. And with every cycle, every challenge and victory, it's all feeding into the expression of my purpose, which is da 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 da. Oh my gosh, it's for me, it's connection with God, which is so crazy to say because I hated the word God. Like I couldn't even say it. It felt like ick to me to say God after growing up in Catholic school and feeling so restricted and imposed upon, like I had no choice. And I realized that I had to go on my own journey of unplugging, disconnecting, going rogue, going spiritually rogue for a little bit, which is kind of like a analogy for Earth and how we forget who we are to remember, and how fucking beautiful it is when we remember, because we're like, oh my God, we're all connected and it's all okay. So that disconnection, that unplugging and going rogue spiritually served a purpose because it helped me to tap into my gifts of being able to share my voice, of being able to express and articulate and feel like years ago I would never even be able to speak like I'm speaking right now. I used to try to make YouTube videos. I think I'll show them eventually, but I hated myself so much for not being able to speak. I just would choke and feel like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I just talk? And that was actually part of the journey. There was never anything wrong with it. It was just the stage of my gifts coming into fuller expression. And so there are many. Okay. The next journey on this exploration was after my solo travel. I came back not knowing my purpose, but I was obsessed. I was like obsessed with spirituality because I ended up in a relationship where it like activated my spiritual longing to understand, to know more of myself. And I was obsessed with finding my purpose. I was like, I need to find it. I need to find it. I need to know it now. Now. And I was like literally obsessed. And I remember finding this girl on YouTube, Mayara Healing Art. She talks a lot about like Tantra and sacred sexuality. And I would go to her for like her soul purpose meditations and things like that. And so I would just dive into that space, became obsessed with the stillness and peace of meditation. And I remember meditating for like 3 hours, and I come downstairs for dinner and be like, you guys, I just meditated for 3 hours. It's like, now I realize like I don't need to be like doing that long to experience the same level of peace, because eventually you become the practice. Eventually it just ingrains and integrates into your being. Not to say that there's not more to learn, of course, but it's just part of the evolution of like moving on. And so as I was in the space of like really getting in touch with like a deeper calling, my longing at the time was like, I want to be creative. I want to be able to make videos and make art and like sing and make music. And I just wanted that so bad. Like so freaking bad. And I felt so blocked from it. I felt like no matter how hard I tried, there was just like this cutoff. Like I would choke, I would freeze, I would like nothing would ever come out when I was like forcing it. So my intention became, I want to nurture my inner artist. I wanted to like see myself as an artist. I wanted to see myself as creative, but I didn't. I felt like it was only for certain people. It was only for my musician idols who have like transformed my life through their art. And I'm like, maybe I'm just not meant to be an artist. Maybe I'm just not meant to be creative. I'm just meant to appreciate art, and that's just it. I'm just meant to be an art appreciator, I guess. And it would be like so defeating to be like, yeah, I guess so. Dot 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 dot. Oh my gosh, but Rumi has a quote. My man's Rumi has a quote for every stage of my spiritual evolution. The first one being, sometimes you have to keep breaking your heart until it opens. The second one being, may the beauty we love be the beauty we do. May the beauty we love be the beauty we do. And that gave me so much hope. Like, he has such simple but profound words that like just completely capture the essence of my soul lessons. And I just at the time wanted to express the feelings I felt when I would hear my favorite song. Like, I just wanted that so freaking bad, but I felt like I was never able to tap into it. So I would get so discouraged and give up on myself and be like, it's just not for me. I can't do it. Yeah, I was so frustrated, and I was not patient with myself. And I realized at the time what I needed was self-love. What I needed was to give myself the presence and the space and the attention and dedication to be with myself in those frustrating moments, in those times of discouragement, and to see me beyond those points and to hold me to a higher standard, which I see now is like what I get to do as a coach and for myself and leading myself. But at the time I just give up and be like, not for me, I guess. But still, like, the longing was so loud. It was so loud. And so I knew, my entire body knew at the time. I was like, I need to move. I don't know where I'm going to move, but I just need to move. Dear universe, please show me where to move. And I thought I was supposed to go to Bali or Portugal. And none of those plans really came together. But the perfect plan, God's plan, ended up happening super easily. I didn't think I was going to end up where I ended up. I had downsized to a luggage and a backpack, and I had made the decision to be like, I'm moving. I'm going to find the perfect place for me. I don't know where it is, but I'm just going to go, and I'm going to see where it leads me. I thought I was going to end up in Portland because when I went on a road trip before, I like fell in love with Portland. But also in my heart element, I knew that I wanted to live where it was beautiful weather, nice and sunny and warm and consistent. And I wanted to be in a place that inspired me. And I went to visit my brother. My mom was like, go visit your brother in San Diego. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go there. I was like so angsty and resistant because a few years ago I had gone to San Diego and had a traumatic experience where our entire van was broken into and every single material possession was stolen, like my dad's medicine, my laptop, my computer, my clothes, like everything was just gone. And I was like, fuck, I guess they needed it. But I also at the time learned I learned non-attachment and to have compassion for the people that are in that position to need to steal. It took a long time to get there, and I had still harbored a lot of resentment. So I didn't want to go there. So I had a lot of also resistance to San Diego. But something shifted where as soon as I let that resistance soften, I was open to just visiting my brother in San Diego with my luggage and my backpack. And I'm like, I'm going to end up wherever I end up. And I'm on the plane. Also, this happened within like a month too. Like it was just very like, again, spontaneous, quick, moving at the speed of spirit, like my friend says. And I'm on the plane, and it's landing in San Diego International Airport, and I can see the lights on the runway like flashing on and off, and it's like going to the beat of my music. At the time I was listening to Midas by Marabou State, and so it was like at the beat of that song, and I'm like, this is like a soundtrack, this is a movie, I'm in a movie right now. I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. And as I'm landing, my entire body also lights up and tells me, you're going to move here. I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm like, I don't know where I'm gonna move, I don't have a place to stay, I don't have a job, but I guess I'm moving here. And I just let God, I let life guide me, and I find my first studio. Everything happens in a way that I'm like, I don't even know how this is happening, but it's happening, and it's easeful, and it's just like, oh my God. Of course I'm taking action, of course I'm taking steps, but like there's something to the flow of when you are listening to the inner guidance inside of you that just makes things like smooth. Doesn't mean that there's not challenges and twists and turns. It's just smooth. And so I found my first studio, and it's everything I've ever wanted because I get to have my own private space and this beautiful natural lighting. And it's just the space that I've wanted. And eventually, it was also during COVID, it was an interesting time. But gosh, my story is really long. It's so interesting. This is the time when like my connection to purpose just like started to activate and come online, because I was so trusting and I was so open and receptive to the nudges, to the whispers, and more stories at a different time. But magic happens. And the places when you're going to the unknown, because it gives you space. It gives space for the magic to reveal itself when you're not expecting it. That's what makes it so magical, because you can't plan for it to happen. You can't expect it. You cannot control it. And that's what makes it so freaking magical, because you're like, holy shit, I could never in a million years like put this together. And then you start to see, oh, God. It's God. Okay. I'm listening. Anyway. So that was my first studio. And every single piece or step of ever since I moved to California, coming into my now home, which I feel like, so the studio, I quickly outgrew it because I knew I needed to, my body, my system needed to be near the ocean, in a cleaner environment, like in a safer neighborhood. I knew what I needed, and I allowed myself to be guided to that place. I remember writing just this like complete non-attachment. It wasn't even like I'm manifesting with the full moon and I'm gonna do all these rituals to make this happen. It was just like I pulled out a piece of paper and was like, okay, I really want to move. This is what I want in a house, and how, like, what I wanted to include. And so I included the rents and like what it looked like and all these like features and stuff. And holy shit, I got all of that and way more. Way more. Oh my god. And so funny again too, because I was moving to a house that I thought was the house. And weirdly enough, like it was the same layout as the house that I'm in right now. I would have even had the same like room in the layout of that previous home. Like all the way in the right corner by the window. And same amount of bedrooms. It had a backyard. It was close to the ocean. It was an open, like a, had like high ceilings, all these things. And 5 days, it's always 5 days, 5 days before I'm supposed to move in, I hear from the girl that I'm like in contact with. She said, "Hey girl, you can't move in anymore. I'm sorry." I'm like, why? What happened? She's like, "We're all getting evicted. I'm sorry." So I was like, okay, okay. And I was surprised at how my reaction wasn't freak the fuck out. It was actually, oh, redirection. That was like initially what I went to. And I'm so surprised that I didn't have a breakdown, because I had already signed my lease off and was ready to move. So basically, I had to find a place within 5 days. And I had no idea. And it, I just literally let go. And eventually found my way to the house that I'm in right now, which had a way better roommate situation, way closer to the ocean, like so close to the ocean. It had access to a pool, to a lagoon, to tennis courts. I play tennis. The room that I'm in is just, it's just better. Everything is better. The rent was also cheaper than the other one I was gonna be in. And so when God says redirection, like trust that the redirection is for a reason. And God always has what you need in store when you trust. Just trust and allow. Because sometimes our human minds can only see so far. But our heart is connected to way more than our mind can see. And the intelligence of the body is so unfathomable to what our minds can comprehend. And it's hard to get to that point because our society is like culturally programmed to not trust our bodies and actually deny our bodies, and all this cultural conditioning around it. And yeah, to judge our bodies, like what? It's crazy. When really it holds the wisdom. It's a vessel for truth, and the more that we can connect to it and listen and allow and be guided by the wisdom that lives inside. Hello, magic. So funny. I laugh sometimes. So anyway, this home, if I wasn't here, my inner artist would not have the safety and the space to unravel and explore and come alive. And I wouldn't have the space for my voice to come fully online, to feel free and liberated within myself, to feel free and safe enough to take more risks that lead me even deeper into expressing my gifts. Truly, like having the intention, being led, leaning into the unknown, leaning into the inspiration. Oh man, cheat codes for real. It's crazy. I just want to hug every single version of my past self right now that felt disconnected from her body, ashamed of her body, ashamed of her voice, and inability to express what was inside, feeling like she had to hide, feeling like she wasn't good enough, feeling like she wasn't ready. I just want to give her a big hug right now and so much love, and like, fuck, dude, you were always perfect, just as you are, always. Oh my God. And I wish that like I could give her the space to just to interview her and shine, and like shine just so much light on her where she's at right now, because it was important. Like that, I always go back to those moments of when I was dealing with so many inner insecurities, but at the same time I had so much courage, like so much courage. And I was like so focused on the insecurities that I wasn't ever seeing my courage. I wasn't ever seeing the gifts that were coming through and online. I was so focused on like, why am I not enough? Oh my gosh. And that's why I created this one-on-one coaching program to help you if you were ever in those positions or ever resonate with any point of my story. Like, this is for you to see yourself, to see that you are already enough. Oh my God. You have everything that you need. You are everything that you need to be right now, right now, right now, right now. And the more that you can anchor into that acceptance, the freaking liberation to experience, that you don't have to wait for it, that you don't have to wait to get to a milestone or to some kind of achievement or wait for some external form of validation to be like, okay, now you're free. Can you enjoy yourself? I just see 111 on my thing. And that comes, that awareness becomes more integrated as you own yourself, as you own your story, as you make the conscious choice to choose what you actually want. That no one is making you do anything. That you don't have to make yourself do anything. That you can give yourself permission to not do anything. And even that will be okay. And then you can come to a place of like, okay, willingness. Okay, I know what it's like to not do that. This is what I want to do now. This is what's important to me. And if I could talk to any point of myself, any past version of me in my story that was struggling with freaking insecurities. Oh my God, I struggled a lot with hiding, feeling so ashamed of myself, of how I looked. Oh my God, my body was one of the biggest blocks of me showing up and sharing myself, because I thought that I wasn't pretty enough. I thought that I wasn't like good looking enough to be seen. Like, what the fuck? The distorted beliefs that I couldn't see because I was so stuck in my own head was just mind boggling to me. But yeah, I stopped myself because I didn't like how I looked in the mirror. I didn't think that I was wise enough, or like I knew what I was talking about to share my experience. Like, what? So this is why one-on-one coaching is so freaking valuable. When you have a mirror who is on your team, who just wants to see you shine, who sees themselves in you, who loves you, who loves the creative spirit inside you and knows that you have a gift that the world needs right now, and that you didn't come here to judge yourself. You didn't come here to play small. And that's why it hurts. That's why it's exhausting. That's why it's draining when you're playing small and you're hiding and you're like giving in and feeding into all your limitations, because it's distorted energy that's not free flowing. And it's your inner guidance being like, hey, okay, it's time to shift. Time to shift. And when you make that shift, when you have the space to see where there's a block and how to reorient toward greater flow, toward greater relaxation and openness toward remembering your true fullness and your potential, and to hold you, a space to hold you in pure love. How could you not grow from that? Like, what? And so often, like, we don't have the spaces that are dedicated and focused solely on your growth, that are focused solely on you and your path toward spiritual evolution. Spiritual evolution being bringing out your gifts, accessing higher states of consciousness, feeling more love, like pure love, pure unconditional presence, compassion, joy, beauty, cosmic beauty, not just pretty things, like cosmic fucking beauty, like holy shit, awe, wonder. One of my mentors calls it wonderment. Like, stay in the wonderment of it. I'm like, stay in the fucking wonderment. To me, wonderment means wonder of the present moment. Like, oh my God, how is this all happening? Oh my God, anything can happen. Oh my God, I can make anything happen through the present moment, through divine presence, partnering with God, establishing your connection to God. Like, this is what this program is creating the space to connect with not only your creativity, but your connection to creative intelligence. Like, dude, this is fucking huge. I'm so excited for whoever joins this program, because it's gonna be a fucking journey, and you're gonna blast off into outer space, but also be so grounded and rooted in who you are and why you're here. And like, it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna do it together, and I'm gonna love on you, and I'm going to just I'm gonna fan your flames and you're gonna shine even brighter. I had the experience of I went into medicine ceremony, and I was like, I want to heal my creativity. I want to heal my creativity. I want to be creative. I want to feel flow. I don't want to feel blocked anymore. I don't want to block my expression. What does it feel like? So I wanted to really heal that. And eventually, I had an experience where, like, oof. I realized myself as creativity. Like, I felt myself as God's paintbrush, and I could feel every word and breath coming out of me as like paints and colors and hues and textures, and I could literally feel myself as pure creation, creating, and I was not separate from creativity anymore. And I realized, oh my God, how did I ever feel so far from this when I was always this? So this is the journey of self-discovery, is seeing who you really are beyond who you thought you were. It's fucking beautiful, man. Like, this is the amount of times last year, really diving into my purpose, like, that I've cried tears of pure gratitude and awe for the first time ever in my life. Like, I have never experienced that, like, holy shit, thankfulness, that tears were just flooding out of my eyes. Yeah. And I'm really not that much of a crier. Like, I cry when it's needed, but it's not like I cry at everything. And these moments were just so intensely beautiful that I'm like, oh my God, this is what's possible? Why is not everyone doing this? Why isn't this more talked about? Like, so I created this program for you to discover and hold space for your unraveling and revealing what wants to emerge through the inner calling inside your soul, through your being. And together we will establish a greater connection between your mind and your body so that there will be free-flowing, connected coherence, not disjointed, not disconnected, but coming into union with yourself. And you will have a greater understanding of your mission, of your purpose, of your vision for what you want to create and why you're here to create. Oof, it's gonna be so good, you guys. Oh my God, please. Please. You're gonna love it. And I love you already. And I know someone out there is ready. And I know it's time because there is only now, and it's okay if you're not ready. Like, that's totally fine. You don't need to be ready. But if you're ready, lean in, because there is a ripening for a reason. Oh my God, when you tap into that inspiration, there's so much in there to play with, so much in there to extract and create from and enjoy and to give. Your impact is in the inspiration. So lean in and let me know if this calls to you, and I will leave links to how to get in contact with me, how to get in touch and work with me. And thank you so much for listening and for being here and for opening up your time and your ears and your heart to really receive what is here for you. Whatever has landed for you, sit with it. Let it marinate. Let it cook. Let it brew. Let it really touch and move you. Because that's why we're here, We're here to be in life, connected to life. There's so much more, of course, because we are more. We are ever expanding, so of course there's more. But if you'd like to get in touch with me, links are included. I love you. I love you. Thank you for being here. I said that already, but I just, the fact that you stayed this long, I want to hear from you, and I want to connect deeper and say thank you personally. So yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day. Remember that you have everything you need inside you to fulfill your purpose. Keep leaning in, keep listening. I'll see you and speak with you in the next episode. Peace out.